When Goku was first born on the Saiyan world of planet Vegeta, he was a much different character than the wild boy we were first introduced to in Dragon Ball. Goku was originally meant to be like his father, a warrior in the employ of Frieza, who would have joined his comrades in exterminating other species. That was until Frieza made the fateful decision to destroy the Saiyans. However, before the destruction of his world, Goku was sent to the planet Earth. It was there that he would meet Grandpa Gohan and everything changed, as Goku would accidentally fall into a ravine, hitting his head. With that, he lost his past memories and also much of his aggression as he became a good boy. But did Goku need to hit his head in order to become good? Could he have learned to be a good person during his time on Earth? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss that. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. Okay guys, so joining me in this video today is someone you've seen on my channel in the past, and his name is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation here.
But of course, Josh, there is a different version of the story, or really two when you think about it. And would you like to elaborate on those?
Well, this comes in the sources of Dragon Ball Minus and obviously the most recent Dragon Ball Super Broly film, where Goku's kind of portrayed to not really ever have the intent of destroying a planet, I guess. It's more of, Gine and Bardock are a lot more caring parents than most Saiyans. Their niceness kind of rubs off on Goku in a way, I suppose. He's not going to be some rambunctious child like he was shown to be at the, when Grandpa Gohan found him. He was a lot more calm, He wasn't really out to destroy, or it might be like a retcon in Saiyans in general, honestly, where I don't know if any of the babies are really that rambunctious besides like maybe Broly was.
Yeah, and even with Broly, he seemed to be, in this newer version at least, more of like a normal kid who just so happened to be born with a ridiculous amount of power. He drew a bad lot in life, even though on any other planet in any other civilization, he would have realistically been someone who was cherished and became the greatest warrior of their people. However, when it comes to Bardock, even though he was obviously a more caring parent, and he had, Gine's kindness rub off on him as well, the fact of the matter is he still did go around from planet to planet wiping them out. So as a result, it kind of raises the question of, would Goku have still possibly gone through with all of this and destroyed everyone on the planet, assuming he actually could have?
I would say that the Saiyans, at least in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, it seemed more like their planet conquering is caused directly from like Frieza putting in the work, basically. It seems like Frieza's presence kind of amplified because Frieza saw like that the Saiyans are good at something and he wanted to amplify their power and their progress and just destruction, I guess.
Yeah, so again, this leads into the bigger question, could he have seen the light, so to speak, if he never hit his head? Now, when Goku hit his head, he did get amnesia, which is the reason he didn't remember his family, he didn't even remember that he came from a different planet. But on top of that, he began to see Grandpa Gohan more as like a father figure, like a true grandfather to him. Whereas before he hit his head, he probably would have still seen him as a caretaker, but as we often see in stories like this, and even in real life, a surrogate parent for a child will still become someone who is basically just as important, if not more important, than their real parents in a situation like this. So I think that over time, Goku likely would have come to see his Grandpa Gohan as a real parent to him, and that kind of belief system and that good-hearted nature that Grandpa Gohan had would have likely rubbed off on him. So I'm assuming that eventually Grandpa Gohan would tell him, well, there's another master that I trained under that you could go and meet, whose name is Master Roshi. And I feel like Master Roshi, who is still really instrumental in Goku after he hit his head and shaping him as a person, would still be incredibly instrumental in this version and would likely lead to him still becoming a softer and, better human being or a better person overall. So, do you think that the influences on Earth would have had a positive effect on Goku? And do you think that there's any other examples of characters, perhaps like Goku in this case, who show that he could very well have been redeemed regardless of hitting his head or not?
Well, yeah, I would say I would agree with you 100%. And, as another example, even though he is shown to have signs of extreme aggression in the Broly film, Broly was raised by Paragus, who was obviously, and I mean, Broly, had manners. He didn't know a whole lot about what the real world was like, and a lot of, he didn't even know what water was, right? But Broly wasn't inherently an aggressive person on his own. It was more of his rage that would just happen. He didn't really seem to want to hurt anybody outright, you know what I mean? It's not that picture of the Saiyan race that we know from the old way the Saiyans are told in the series, mostly in the filler by like King Kai, but like that, like I said, Paragus, just another Saiyan. He didn't raise Broly to be inherently an evil person. I mean, at that point, Broly was a protector of Paragus, really. He wasn't inherently bad.
Yeah, and when you take a look at Paragus too, Paragus was someone who was more leaning in the direction of being an evil person. We saw when they first arrived on Vampa, when he was trying to rescue his son Broly, that, after the ship had, basically been shown to be useless at that point, Paragus just cold-bloodedly took out the other guy, the other Saiyan, who had helped them get there. So even though someone like that raised Broly, at the end of the day, Broly was still someone who was still kind-hearted, even though he was an uncontrollable rage monster at various points. As we see him at the end of the film, we see that he is still, good-hearted, and he still gets along with other people, and he really just needed the right guidance, which again ties back into what we see with Goku, who, again, even though he was born on planet Vegeta, and he was born to Saiyan warriors, at the end of the day, you send him to the Earth, and you give him the right guidance under people like Grandpa Gohan, Master Roshi, Kami, and then friends he meets along the way, and I feel like he's probably going to lean more in the direction of being a good guy than he is going to be like, oh, I'm going to join the Pilaf gang, or I'm going to join King Piccolo. And again, bringing up another Saiyan, not only was Vegeta raised by King Vegeta, who was a very callous person who, at least in the GT continuity, was the one who led the uprising to wipe out the Tuffles and name him king of the planet, and didn't care about their species or all the other ones, and who wanted his son Vegeta to usurp Frieza and be the real true evil overlord of the universe, basically. However, at the end of the day, Vegeta, through his encounters with Goku and through, meeting Bulma, having kids, that made him a more soft person to where eventually he doesn't really want any of that anymore, and he more wants to live a nice, peaceful life where he's always training to push himself and to, I guess, stay kind of in league with Goku. So if Vegeta can do that, I think that pretty much any other Saiyan under the right circumstances could realistically do the same, which would include Goku.
Right, and I guess to quickly talk about what Goku's original origin was, of him being a lot more rambunctious and pretty much looked like he was gonna have the intent of destroying the whole planet. I'm not sure if there's a situation where he probably would have turned evil at such a young age, and he was a baby, so he can't talk a baby into being a good guy. But obviously people like Master Roshi and even Grandpa Gohan probably could have just ended Goku in an instant, so there was really no threat in the first place, but I just don't think that Goku necessarily would have became a good guy.
Yeah, like when you think about it, it's not like Grandpa Gohan wanted to kill this thing, they even basically imply that, if he wanted to, and he saw this as a threat, which he very well could have, since it was this alien who came on a ship out of the Earth, been a threat to everything considering how strong he was, he still decided instead, I want to raise this as my child, so to speak, and, make him into a good person, even though he's not technically a human, a good human being. So I think at the end of the day that, when we look at the original version especially, but even the Dragon Ball Minus version, I feel like Goku hitting his head was something that helped him to become who he was, but even by the time that Raditz had arrived, Goku probably still would have wanted to fight against him, and he would have had maybe an even better argument to give to Raditz, because things probably would have turned out basically the same as they did in the original story.
In the original story, the Saiyans were really just portrayed as just totally bloodlusted and just irredeemable to a degree, honestly.
Alright guys, so let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think that Goku needed to hit his head in order to become good, or do you think that he would have become good on his own over time? Let us know down below. Of course, make sure to check out Dragon Ball Nation in the end screen and the description. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.